This chilling tale begins with a young girl named April who is on her way to an interview for a job as a babysitter. As she travels to her destination, she casts a longing look at the breastfeeding mother on the bus. Soon after, she arrives at her destination where she meets a woman named Rebecca. When asked, April says she's 21 years old, but Rebecca confusingly says that she appears much younger than that. April then explains that she is a medical student who is taking a break from her studies to work on her thesis about child allergies. Now, Rebecca introduces April to her son, Johnny, who is dressed in a spacesuit. According to Rebecca, Johnny is mute and allergic to practically everything. Therefore, he requires extra care and attention. Rebecca's a stressed-out author whose new book is about to be released. She needs help around the house, including childcare, which is why she intends to hire April. However, April doubts Johnny's medical concerns, arguing that research reveals allergies may be a mental condition. Soon after, she and Johnny hit it off, and Rebecca hires April for the job. Later, April notices Johnny's father, Jacob, who is a carpenter. She seems instantly smitten by him, and even though Rebecca notices this, she doesn't seem to mind. While returning home, April has hallucinations of being intimate with older men. So as she exits the bus, she takes a drop of acid, which makes her feel better. She then goes to her appointment with her therapist, Dr. Welsh. Once inside, the doctor wishes to reduce her dose of medication to avoid trippy visions. But April denies having them and ignores the risk. However, it is clear that she is already suffering from them and has become reliant on the drug. As they chat, April says she longs for a family, having been raised by foster parents and severely mistreated by her father. She is bitter and resentful of people who have kids. She watches women in the park paying little attention to their children and believes they are ungrateful people who do not deserve to have children. April also admits to her therapist that she is violent, even though he disagrees with this claim. Instead, Dr. Welsh sees her as a kind person who is incapable of violence and argues that all she wants to do is be a good mother. Meanwhile, we see Rebecca and Jacob trying to get intimate with each other. Jacob has difficulty being intimate with his wife and at one point declares that he cannot have intercourse with her since she is a mother. Just then, they hear Johnny screaming from his room and rush to help him. Rebecca tries to keep her son under control, but Johnny violently kicks her. She then discovers a metal object nearby and determines that it may have caused him an allergy. Rebecca is now enraged at Jacob for placing metal there. Jacob, on the other hand, says that he does not believe their child has allergies and suggests that they place him in a facility that caters to special needs children like him. But Rebecca refuses to abandon Johnny to strangers and forsake her role as a mother. The next morning, April's foster father, Roger, prepares her breakfast and inquires about her new job. She claims that the family's father is decent, which makes Roger feel insecure. He then puts his head on her lap, pleading with her not to leave him if she grows bored. Afterward, April and Johnny spend time together and appear to get along well. Meanwhile, due to her medication, she continues to have hallucinations but manages to pull herself together. Afterward, she notices Johnny digging dirt in the yard. Seeing this, she helps the boy in the digging, and they soon find a bunny that Johnny had killed and buried. It soon becomes clear that this isn't the only bunny in the yard, and there are many more buried in different places. However, April does not judge him, and instead teaches the boy how to skin a rabbit and keep it as a souvenir. That evening, April stares at Jacob's photo and pleasures herself, and the next morning she puts on a lot of makeup and dresses up for work. She spends the day with Johnny, playing and drawing together. Later, Jacob receives a call from Rebecca, who has missed her flight and will be unable to attend Johnny's birthday celebration. Therefore, she requests that Jacob let April stay for the night to care for Johnny. Afterward, April and Jacob present a cake to celebrate Johnny's birthday. However, when Johnny sees the fire, he starts to scream, and the two rush to calm him down. Later, April gives him fur from a dead bunny as a gift and puts him to sleep. She then goes outside and runs into Jacob. After a brief conversation, Jacob approaches her and tries to touch her. However, they are suddenly interrupted as Johnny opens his door. Around midnight, Rebecca finally returns home and goes to check on her son. She tries to lie down with him, but Johnny lashes out viciously and hurts her. Seeing this response from her son, Rebecca becomes frustrated and goes to the bathroom where she tries to injure herself. A series of scars indicates that she's been doing this for a long time, most likely as a coping strategy for the issue she's having with Johnny. The next day, Rebecca takes Johnny to her favorite location, which she used to visit when she was little. There, she removes Johnny's helmet, which scares him for some reason. However, she asks the kid to breathe and tells him that he doesn't have any allergies, and that his fear is all in his head. Later at home, Rebecca's worried about Johnny's haircut, but he refuses to let her do it. However, April tells her not to worry and starts to cut Johnny's hair, and strangely, Johnny does not lash out. Moments later, Rebecca reaches out to touch her son, but Johnny savagely bites her hand. As Rebecca runs away in pain, April becomes anxious and checks her medication bottle, only to realize she's run out of pills. Afterward, April leaves for her visit with Dr. Welsh, where she bursts into tears and vomits on his clothes. As a result, Dr. Welsh walks downstairs to change his clothes, and April takes the opportunity to steal a few narcotic bottles from his cabinets. And when he returns, April acts normally and apologizes for making a mess. Following this, April begins putting the acid in Johnny's pills to keep him from lashing out. She believes that since this substance has helped her see things and Johnny does not simply perceive the world, the drug will benefit him. However, she asks Johnny to keep it a secret from his parents, to which he complies. One evening, Rebecca and Jacob go out to a restaurant for dinner. After they leave, April and Johnny both take the substance and begin to have weird visions. They then run off into the streets, but the parents return and almost hit them. Rebecca's enraged at April for running off in the middle of the road, and the girl apologizes profusely. But just then, Johnny vomits up candy, which Rebecca has absolutely forbidden. While Rebecca continues to yell, Johnny speaks for the first time and calls out for his mother. What would have been a moment of pride and happiness quickly turns to horror, as Rebecca discovers Johnny isn't calling his mother and is instead talking to April. Enraged by the series of events, Rebecca orders April to immediately leave. After that, Rebecca takes Johnny to their house and demands that he speak again, which he refuses to do. She is upset that his first words were not addressed to her and begins to hit him, but Johnny remains silent. In the meantime, Jacob drives April to her home. She is sad since Rebecca scolded her, but Jacob assures her that she is good and it is because of her that Johnny has spoken for the first time. He then apologizes to April for his wife's behavior. April takes advantage of the situation to move closer to him and kiss him. Jacob doesn't stop her, and the two end up getting intimate in the car. When April returns home, Roger's upset and asks her why she's late. He brings up their agreement, implying that she has agreed to a physical relationship with him. He claims he even killed his wife for her, while April argues he never liked his wife in the first place. As he continues to pressure her, April pretends to go along with it and proceeds to pleasure him. However, moments later, she chokes him with his belt and ends up killing the man. She then buries his body in the backyard with his decomposing wife. In the next scene, April's seen toying with a diary after taking her drugs. Each page of her journal is dedicated to a foster father she killed. Jake was allegedly her first victim, and he lied about liking her. Then there was Simon, and the reason for his death remains unknown. Meanwhile, Andrew was swept off because he liked April's legs. While flipping through the pages, he noticed that Dr. Welsh has put his hand on her many times. Finally, we arrive at Roger's place, which is decorated with a lock of his hair. The next day when April arrives at work, she notices Dr. Welsh talking to Rebecca. It turns out that he's been looking after Johnny the entire time. Rebecca informs the doctor that Johnny spoke, and he claims that it must be due to the medication. However, Johnny's relationship with the babysitter may have helped him. He advises Rebecca to keep Johnny's bond with the babysitter going. Rebecca, on the other hand, claims she no longer wants the babysitter near Johnny. Later, April's back at the house and trying to seduce Jacob in the kitchen. Johnny doesn't like their closeness, so he digs Jacob in the leg. April then puts Johnny to bed and tells him he can't hurt his father. She tells Johnny that she loves Jacob, and that if he wants them to be a family, he must do something. She hands him a flick knife and tells him to attack Rebecca the next time he is alone with her. April assures the kid that when she is his true mother, he might no longer have to hide his rabbits, meaning that he can kill as many as he likes. Afterward, in the garden, April's burying more bunnies that Johnny has killed. And a few moments later, Jacob appears and proceeds to be intimate with her on the grass. Meanwhile, Johnny watches this from the window and starts screaming at the top of his lungs. That evening, Johnny sketches a drawing of April and Jacob being intimate in the garden, and when Rebecca notices this, she becomes enraged and decides to stop April from returning to the house. The next day, April throws away all of her medications, declaring she no longer requires them and is ready to take what is truly hers. She goes on to tell how she killed her foster fathers, claiming that they were all declared dead by choice and that the police were never suspicious. She goes on to say that she's now doing this for Johnny so that they can be a family. Just then, we see Dr. Welsh foaming at the mouth on the floor, implying that April murdered him as well. After that, April returns to work, but Rebecca claims she no longer needs her services and asks her to leave. She tries to push the woman way back into the house, but Rebecca stops her. Meanwhile, Johnny notices this and becomes furious, so he digs his mother in the hand. She then starts yelling and chokes him, and it's evident that Johnny is still high on the narcotics-laced tablets. At this point, Rebecca locks the kid in a room and grabs a knife to confront April. On the other hand, April goes to the workshop where Jacob is working. She asks him if he loves her, but Jacob says he cares about her but doesn't have feelings for her. He tells the girls that he cannot give her more, but April seduces him and they begin to get intimate once again. Moments later, Rebecca enters the workshop and digs April in the back. Immediately, April manages to flee into the garden while being followed by Rebecca with a knife. As April approaches the stairs, she notices Johnny standing nearby with the flick knife. She then kneels in front of him, hoping that he will save her. However, in a shocking twist, Johnny repeatedly digs April and eventually kills her while his parents watch. And when Johnny is finished, it is clear that Jacob and Rebecca are not horrified or shocked. They're just tired that yet another babysitting cycle has come to an end. In the next scene, we see Jacob chopping up April's body. Rebecca says she'll find another babysitter, and that if they keep doing this, they'll have to buy the plot of land behind the house. And in the final scene, we see April buried under the ground. As the camera moves along, we notice several other bodies nearby, all of which belong to young women who were Johnny's babysitter in the past. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.